Right, we're here. Everything's working. So, Epstein Files. This shit is going crazy, bro. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's looking at it. It's everywhere. Fucking dude, look at this shit. The other day, when did? Hold on, I was looking at some shit. When did this get updated? Anyways, let's go look through it. I guess like the new stuff is in. I was here. Yeah, what is this correspondence? Okay, yeah. Dude, I saw this photo, man. Let me see. Mm, First of all, I don't know what the fuck's up with that. Oh, that's a cool painting. Too bad it's owned by an evil person. Looks like the same one. Shit. Oh my god, no, I didn't. It's just they really like that photo, huh? They really like that painting too. Yeah, they fucking taken like 5 pictures of it. Damn, this fool had like 6 monitors. Was doing the worst, man. A curve. Damn. It was a picture of him looking kind of like funny, like self-depreciating. Yeah. Anyways, oh well. Let's go to the next dataset files. Are we still in one? No, two. Let me see. Let's go look. Let's go look at the new stuff. Uh, is there a way I could just like? It doesn't let you just like zip through it. You really have to like search through it. Mm. Dang, they turned on the contrast. Oh, if only I could read. In your case, you have not heard. It's been discovered that Leon Black paid 62.5 million to USVI, and this does not include payments of money to individual women. It's outrageous that criminal charges have not been brought against that have not been brought against him. I have heard one lawyer representing 10 women that he sexually assaulted. I hope that your office is going to take a harder look based on the new information. This communication may contain confidential attorney-client privilege. Oh my gosh. What is this, 2023? People, man. I relayed the info to Gina Christina per my conversation with Blank that we are deconflicting with Danny and would circle back with her, attaching notes of today's conversation with counsel, notes to the initial referral call, and the email correspondence I had with the counsel for your records. Let me know if there's anything else you would like me to do with examples, if you'd like me to communicate anything else to Janine after we receive notes from Danny, the minor victim. Oh. What is this? So these are a bunch of dates and numbers. Evidence reported for the case. So it says child sex trafficking into Epstein open 12/8/28. Epstein was indicted in incited on damn son. Dude, like honestly this is satanic shit, bro. Hold on, let's look. Um the fuck is this?
Looking for Washington, D.C.'s most glamorous entertainment venue? Look no further than Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom. At the Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom, we specialize in middle school dances, sweet 16 parties, quinceañeras, beauty pageants, foam parties, and so much more.
The fuck is a foam
party? The Epstein
party?
Ballroom is Washington's beautiful secret. 90,000 square feet of gold, glitter, and class. Make your event magical with the Epstein Ballroom's Diddy Baby Oil Flume. Join DJ TJ as he DJs all ages shows. And this Christmas season, you can sit on Santa Donnie's lap. Say goodbye to 123 years of history and say hello to the Donald Trump Epstein Memorial Ballroom. At the Donald Trump Jeffrey Epstein Memorial Ballroom, every day is a wonderful secret.
Okay, that was obviously, I hope that was fake. Who the fuck made that? That's funny. Lincoln Project. Exposes Gates. Oh, yeah. What's up with Gates, dude? Bill Gates is blowing Trump? Or, no. Bill Clinton. Big Bill.
So these unsent draft emails in this particular situation have caught a lot of attention. What do you know about them?
That's right. Well, Aaron, these two drafted emails are both dated July 18th, 2013, and they were saved in Jeffrey Epstein's email accounts. They appear to be draft emails from Epstein to itself. It's not actually clear who authored them, and there's no indication the messages were ever sent, no evidence they were shared with Bill Gates or anyone else. Now, in those draft emails, Epstein or whoever authored them makes graphic and explicit and unverified allegations about Gates. Within one email, Epstein claimed he helped, quote, get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls and
is that Bill Clinton?
With married women. The email also references Gates asking Epstein to provide Adderall.
That looks very seductive. That looks like Bill Clinton, right?
Alleges that Gates
I ain't tripping. That's Bill Clinton right there. Damn, homie got a portrait of him.
Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you surreptitiously give to Melinda. It also says Gates asked him to delete explicit personal details about his penis. Now, a representative for Gates strongly denied those claims, telling CNN they were, quote, absolutely absurd and absolutely false. And Gates himself was asked about this by a CNN affiliate in Australia. Take a listen to what he said here.
Apparently, Jeffrey wrote an email to himself.
And he had a data server going on.
The email is, false. So I don't know what his thinking was there. It just reminds me, every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that. It's factually true that I was only at dinners. I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that.
Bro, you are, it came out, your wife divorced you, and now people know it's because you fucking cheated on her, and you gave her an STD, bro, and, the more that comes out, I don't know, doesn't really seem like it's too good for you, bro. And not to forget, Bill Gates did not have the come-up story everybody thinks, poor boy, blah, 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 dropped out of college. This fool's dad was a big-time lawyer in Seattle. Mucho money, mucho connections, judges, politicians, all kinds of shit. So,
although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
And that's his response, it seems like, within the past day or so. Mm-hmm. Andrew, you dug into both the emails sent between the two, Epstein and Gates, and the meetings listed in the Justice Department files. Can you tell us what that showed?
Well, what also stands out, Aaron, is how much Epstein was advising Gates on his philanthropic strategy more than previously known. And it appears in at least one of those emails that Gates took Epstein's advice seriously. For instance, an email exchange from August 2014 shows Gates and Epstein discussing Gates' approach to philanthropy. Epstein wrote to Gates, I am confident that with the right approach, you'll be able to raise at least $100 billion. Everyone of hyper wealth is dealing with the same issues. How to give some away? I can see that selling yourself is not your strong point, to which Gates replied, I agree, I should not use slides or even do a presentation. I do think a bit about how surprised I am at how tough doing good philanthropy is, and what really has worked might be interesting to them. I will find a time for us to talk this week. Those were not the only meetings, according to Epstein's calendars and emails, which we went through. Epstein's email listed a dinner with Gates in December 2010, a possible lunch in February 2011, followed by a dinner in April and October 2011. The records also show a planned meeting in Norway in August 2012, another a week later. 2 meetings in February 2013, a possible dinner in September 2013 in which Epstein extended an invite to a Norwegian diplomat. We also saw a Google Calendar reminder for a Skype meeting with Gates in January 2014, a meeting and a phone call in September 2014. And there's also this February 2011 message where Epstein emailed an individual whose name is redacted saying, quote, "You and I are invited to Seattle to spend serious time with Bill Gates." And again, Aaron, all of this occurring years after his 2008 conviction.
Yeah, years after that, of course, when, and you know, as he was
Damn, look at that
registered
shit.
registered
Already,
sex
yeah.
offender. Okay.
Evo.
Now, Melinda French Gates and Bill Gates' ex-wife, they're divorced now. She broke her silence this week, and she was candid about Epstein in the sense of what that did, that entire thing did to their marriage. And she talked about how she felt seeing her ex-husband as the subject of those draft emails, and in all these other mentions of files, those draft emails that you went through that are too disgusting to recount. Here she is.
Whatever questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it, those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. I'm able to take my own sadness and
Dude, who the fuck is
look
that?
at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I've left. I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. For me, I've been able to move on.
Took me a
in
minute
life,
to
and
realize
I
what I
hope
was
there's
looking
some
at.
justice for those now women.
I mean, that was incredibly powerful. Reporting suggests that Epstein appeared to be aware of that Melinda Gates was uncomfortable with his relationship with Bill Gates.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Aaron. Remember, too, the Wall Street Journal previously reported Bill Gates' association with Epstein was a factor in their divorce. And we found a February 2017 text exchange between Epstein and a redacted intermediary who wrote about Gates. He wants to talk to you, but his wife won't let him. That same intermediary wrote to Gates wrote to Epstein that Gates, quote, loves you and says hi, but made clear that Melinda objected to continued contact. Epstein then suggested Melinda connect with Kathy Rumler, that's a former Obama White House counsel, and a friend of Epstein's to reassure Melinda. He said, Bill met my friend Kathy Rumler, Obama counsel for 5 years. She would love to sit with Melinda and give her the other side of Jeffrey. Epstein wrote, adding, she is, quote, an arch feminist who is my great defender. Now, Rumler previously told CNN that she never met with Melinda Gates. The redacted individual then replied about this exchange, not sure individuals can influence once impressions are made, but I will try. I do not know for sure, but I do not think he would be unwilling to bring it up with her.
New details from the released Epstein Files revealing the deceased pedophile's wide-reaching global network of the rich and powerful. Remember, it was August 2006 when Palm Beach police went public with their investigation. August 2006 when police said Epstein had committed unlawful sex acts with and lewd and lascivious molestation of 5 underage girls. 2006. Epstein would, a couple years later, be convicted on 2 counts of solicitation of prostitution, one of those counts involving a minor. So that's 2008. Yet, these individuals associated with Epstein years after those facts were well known. So today, let's start with a prominent name with which you might not be familiar, Brad Karp, the now former chairman of Paul Weiss, one of the nation's top corporate law firms, representing some of the biggest companies in the world. Karp abruptly resigned yesterday following the release of his email exchanges with Jeffrey Epstein, such as this 2015 email in which Karp profusely thanked Epstein for hosting him, writing, quote, I can't thank you enough for including me in anything I'll never forget. It was truly once in a lifetime in every way, though I hope to be invited again, unquote. Yeah. Epstein responded, writing, quote, you are always welcome. There are many, many nights of unique talents. You will be invited often.
We're really taking pictures of this shit.
Talents. These sort of cringy, chummy emails between Epstein and Karp continued as recently as February 2019. That's the year that Epstein showed up dead in his cell.
That was a strap-on.
Suicide. And only months before he would face a second set of criminal charges for sex trafficking minors. In a previous statement to the Wall Street Journal, the Paul Weiss firm said, quote, Mr. Karp never witnessed or participated in any misconduct. Mr. Karp, 2 group dinners in New York City and had a small number of social interactions by email, all of which he regrets. I bet he does. Karp's own statement says, quote, recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that is not in the best interests of the firm. Despite stepping down as chairman, the law firm says Karp, quote, will continue to focus his full-time attention to client service at the firm. We're also getting our first look at the hundreds of friendly text messages between Epstein and former Trump advisor, MAGA Svengali Steve Bannon. They include crude sexual jokes about women and Trump and discussions on countless other topics. Put together, the communication suggests a much closer relationship between the two that was widely understood. There's also a nearly 2-hour-long, largely sympathetic interview filmed around 2019 that Bannon conducted with Epstein, which was reportedly originally...
These guys are terrible. Let me see.
We are learning that members of Congress will be able to view unredacted copies of the Epstein Files starting Monday. That, according to two sources familiar with the plans. And it comes after calls from some lawmakers and survivors for more transparency and accountability in the investigations related to Epstein. At the same time, tensions are hitting a new high between President Clinton and Republican lawmakers over whether he will testify on Epstein in public. The former president, writing on X,
I will not sit idly by as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way. In a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this is really about. And then a girl's gonna walk by with semen on her face. Like, Bill, you did it again, man.
Today, in part, quote, I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way in a public hearing. NBC's Ryan Nobles covers Capitol Hill. How did we get to this moment where the DOJ is now saying that lawmakers can, in fact, go in and look at these unredacted versions?
Well, part of it is members of Congress demanding as much information as possible. And there's been this push and pull with the survivors, with members of Congress, with the Department of Justice over what gets redacted and what doesn't get redacted. And part of what Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, said when he announced that they were releasing all the files they had left to release is that they would give members of Congress the opportunity to see the files unredacted. They didn't explain when that timeline would be. Members of Congress pushed the DOJ for that. They want to see this material before Pam Bondi comes to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. And so they're being afforded that opportunity beginning on Monday. But it's going to be hard for them.
No. Look it. When you hang out with somebody, okay, and you see them like this. Okay, like this, like a fucking, this your home, this is you, this your girl, this your homeboy, this your homeboy's girl, okay? And I could see where, like, these two might not be too, possible. But typically the ladies talk, okay? And the dudes know what's going on with each other, man. So to say that their relationship, that he didn't know what was going on, that's some bullshit, bro. You know that's true. You know how people are. You know, like, you can't really straight up expect me to believe that, And the same thing with Bill Clinton. Like, dude, he got caught fucking getting head in the Oval Office. What was it, Monica Lewinsky? Is that her name? Dude, yeah, he busted all the fucking in Monica Lewinsky, and she got famous off that, made millions, bro. I don't know. It's a pretty good ROI. That's like the best bang for your buck right there. But yeah, dude. I find it really hard to believe that Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Epstein, didn't. They were all buddy, bro, hanging out at the same parties. Like, dude, also think about, like, when you get inebriated. When you drink or you take stuff, and you cannot tell me that these motherfuckers are not taking anything. These motherfuckers are degenerates. They just have money. The shit comes out. You say things, do things. Man, this guy probably fucking drank a fifth of vodka and was like, I got an island. Want to come to my island, And then he's over here like, I got a tower. My tower, you know, and then he had to like, you know, one up him with like all this evil satanic shit. Oh, yeah, you know, this guy's face. He's like, is it what? This is some more bullshit. It really is.
Have all 3 million files. They'll be unredacted on a computer screen in the Department of Justice. They can't bring their staff with.
The face. Look at that face. Like, in the eyes, she looks like a deer. You know, like killer eyes. You know. Great. Anyways, yeah, dude. Really have a hard time believing any of this, like the lies that come out.
It'll be only the members of Congress. And since we last spoke, Tom, I've just learned that Congressman Ro Khanna, who is, of course, one of the two members of Congress who pushed for the Epstein Transparency Act, he will be there on Monday to review those files at the Department of Justice.
Well, how many hours, how much time do they get to review 10 or 3 million pages?
Well, the Department of Justice doesn't specify that in the letter that they sent to Congress, but it appears that they can have as much time as they want. They say they have to be there during the hours that the Department of Justice is open, that they have to give 24 hours notice. So theoretically, I think a member of Congress could push it as much as they want.
There have been a lot of theories surrounding Jeffrey Epstein over the years, and with this new massive files release, we are tackling whether or not they prove them right or whether we still need answers. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, as I'm covering these stories, I am constantly reminded about the danger out there. And you know what one danger is? That strangers can find and use any surrounding
You know what another danger is? Ads.
Notorious convicted pedophile and accused child sex trafficker. But
Bro, what's up with the fucking... Okay, check it. Y'all probably know about this shit, but, what's it called? Andrew Jackson. Yeah, go with that. You tell me, this motherfucker... These fools look alike, dog. They do. They 100% fucking do. Look at this shit. You tell me these fools don't look alike? I don't know, bro. I can see it. I see it, bro. And then what's up with the endocrinoids, whatever the fuck, anyways.
the notorious convicted pedophile and accused child sex trafficker. But now, in the wake of
He says accused, like people don't know this shit already went down. This shit's happening. Who's that one fool who sounds all crazy online? Besides me? It's, fuck, what's his name? Alex Jones. Who's been on this shit since like '08.
of pages of documents being released as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which required the DOJ to turn over essentially all the Epstein investigation materials in its possession. Now we have to ask, was there any truth to those theories? Because let me tell you, this document dump, it provides new clues, new context, new connections, and I'm going to say we got a lot more details. So from everything to whether Epstein was murdered, to whether people were exposed.
That's another thing. In a high-end security facility prison, you're going to have the cameras go out while you're carrying this high-target, high-valued prisoner. Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, whatever, though. Because at the end of the day, too, like, one thing I keep thinking is, like, let's say we find out everything, all the proof in the world of everything that happened, and we know for sure beyond any reasonable doubt, you know, we can clearly, you know, say boom, 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 did this, this, and that. What is that going to change, and what is that going to do? You know, they can just try to get out of it, lie, say it was AI, forge new documents, you know. Like, and even if so, even if like there's no way of getting around it, and we all know like they did what they did, what are we gonna do then? They're not gonna do anything. It's fucking sad. It sucks. Although I will say, dude, those ICE protests are dope, bro. I was at work the other day and or school, and saw the protests come through. That's what's up, man. It's all the high schoolers, you know.
To even Pizzagate.
Kids
You
are
remember
gonna
that
change the
one?
world, man.
I'm going to tackle those theories and
They're our
see
future.
if an evaluation of the materials actually proves them right or adds support. So I want to start with the idea, this is the big one, that the Epstein files are going to name names, right? Going to spill secrets. I mean, yeah. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that what was released would be enough evidence to actually prosecute somebody for a state or federal crime, let alone make the accusation that somebody was involved in criminal activity or knew about what Epstein and his associate crime.
Is that Tekashi? That looks like Tekashi, bro. Murakami. I like that shit. I like it a lot.
Make the accusation that
All right.
is, quote, low carb, and adding still awaiting results on gluten content, though. How about this email dated June 24, 2015, with the subject line, got a fresh shipment, where Atia seemingly writes, the biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul. It's kind of chilling when you think about Epstein and the fact that he was brought up on federal sex trafficking charges, accused of abusing minors for years. Now, I will be clear, Atia wrote in a long response on X, which reads in part, reading that exchange now is very embarrassing, and I will not defend it. I'm ashamed of myself for everything about this. At the time, I understood this exchange as juvenile, not a reference to anything dark or harmful. He also added that he didn't participate in any criminal activity, that he never was on his plane, never.
I don't know, man. Cause like, it really just depends on the relationship. Cause like, you know, when you're in the group chat, you know, in fucking Xbox Live Party chat, you say some shit, do some shit, you know. And you're just joking around. You don't really like mean anything, you know, especially when you're with the boys, you know. But to say that they were just playing with like some juvenile banter, like, again, hard to believe, man. Like, and also too, there's some things you just don't joke about, bro. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not something like, it's not funny, you know.
Island, never present at any sex parties. Right now, at the time of this recording, he has stepped down from his role as chief science officer at.
This fool looks like a freak. I see it. I see it right there in those fucking eyes, bro. And that smile. The smile is not like. You see, for a smile that big, the eyes should be squinted more. But they're not. They're open. And he's smiling. He's fucking crazy eyes, bro.
Snack bar company David Protein. There was also reporting that a 60-minute segment that he was featured on has reportedly been pulled, but at the time of this recording, no word yet on the future of his association with CBS. How about New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch exchanging emails with Epstein about women? You have one where Tisch allegedly talks about a, quote, Ukrainian girl who he called, quote, a very sweet girl. Epstein replying she has a, quote, a 10 is a character, and that he would get, quote, all info on her. Now, Tisch wrote that he was, quote, curious to know about her and asked Epstein if she's a pro or civilian. I think we can take a guess what that means. And Epstein actually replied that he doesn't, quote, like records of these conversations. Now, Tisch apparently asked Epstein in another email about a different woman, is she fun? With Epstein replying, she is a civilian, but Russian, and rarely tells the full truth, but fun. I gotta say, this one's pretty striking. Regarding Tisch meeting up with a woman, Epstein writes to him,
I'm just gonna say it, bro. Russian women, these are what they look like. This is what they look like. Nah, but you see, like, you know, typically, I think the cold helps with, like, their skin. Because, like, less bacteria and sweat and, like, buildup and all that shit. But, yeah, typically, they look pretty good, man. And they don't have all the shit in their country, like the chemicals in the food that we have. So they're, cold makes the skin look good, less bacteria, less sweat. Clean food lets the body look the way it should. A lot of fat people, I don't blame them, man. The shit they put in the food is ridiculous, but that's a video talk for another day.
You did very well. She is a little freaked by the age difference, but go slow. In another email, Tish appeared to...
Look at this motherfucker, bro. This fool right here is fucking trying to hit, like... Yeah, like this. And it's like, oh, she's kind of freaked out by the age difference. Bro. No shit. Look. What? Fool's looking like a vampire.
Emailing with a woman that Epstein had seemingly introduced him to, with him writing to her, "Jeffrey Epstein is very excited about you and I meeting each other. I like that idea. Do you?" And apparently there were other emails where Tish allegedly invited Epstein to a Giants game and Epstein inviting Tish to his private island. Now, Tish has responded to this. For example, he said in a statement to CBS News, "We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, and in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all now know, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with." But there's more. Like, how about this photo of director Brett Ratner sitting on a couch hugging a woman sitting next to Jeffrey Epstein?
You see what the fuck I'm saying? Look at the smile. Look at the smile. Poor lady. I feel bad for her, but all we can do now is just get justice. I mean, can't really change what happened. Again, really fucking sad. But like, dude, look at their homies. You're hanging out with somebody, like, you're sending juvenile text messages back and forth. You're fucking homies, and homies, they share shit. They talk about shit. How he was like, "Oh, you're such a horrible person, but I can't say anything." Like, dude, like, think about shit, and then probably not this bad, because this is probably like the cream of the crop. But like, think of like your homie stole like a fucking soda from the store. Like, you're not gonna rat your homie out. And if your homie can get you a soda, and you wanted soda, you're gonna go get a soda with him. And that's what I'm saying. These people, like, it's so easy to be like, I never liked soda. I never went to a store. No. It's like, really? Really? You were hanging out with this guy. He's always going to the store. He's always drinking soda. And you just never knew about it? Talking to him every other day, every week. Fucking doing $1 million deals with the guy. Yeah, you know? Okay, I don't know. You see, it gets you chills. Like, it's obvious bullshit.
Case has been redacted out. Ratner, though, came out, said that this was his fiancée from 20 years ago. He reportedly told the Wall Street Journal back in 2023 that he didn't even know Epstein, hadn't met him. What about this? Former NASCAR driver Brian Vickers apparently forwarded an email to...
That fool was posted up on the couch with them, and then he comes out and says, "I never knew him." Fuck you, bruh. Y'all are some fucked up people. And you know what? I could totally, like, I'm trying to put myself in what they might have been thinking. And they probably thought, like, oh, like, it's the elites, bro. These people have all the money in the world. They control the fucking world. So they're like, they're immune. They're fine. I mean, obviously not. Every group has their patsies. But, yeah, dude. I don't know. Nothing just seems like... Anything I'm being told here doesn't seem like a for sure, like, okay, guarantee this is what happened. Like, along the lines, like, guarantee that he was doing bad shit, the illegal shit, the trafficking shit, had an island type shit. But, what if was there somebody above him? So somebody, how do we know? And how do we know he died? There's so many questions. You can't believe any of it.
In 2012 about a sexually explicit male fairy tale. How about in 2019, where he apparently sent a video with the subject line, "Thought you would like this," with the message, "Happy Valentine's, buddy." By the way, at one point in time, Vickers' ex-wife was accused of coordinating Epstein's meetup with young girls, although she has claimed that she herself was a victim in all of this. How about when Epstein seems to joke about being accused of going to a pedophile convention when he said that he was visiting Paris with director Woody Allen? Yeah, so writing in a 2012 email, this is Epstein replying to someone who wrote him, "Les pedophile convention?" Epstein writes, "I think pedophile is the plural." Lots of emails with Marit, the Crown Princess of Norway. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. This was as recently, by the way, as 2014. The reason that matters actually seemingly contradicts a previous statement from the royal palace that said she had cut off ties with Epstein in 2011. On January 31st, she wrote a statement in part, "I must take responsibility for not having investigated Epstein's background more thoroughly and for not realizing sooner what kind of person he was."
Hey, that's another thing, bro. Like investigating people. These high level people, like, they just don't let anybody come around. Like I don't know if you know or not, but like when the president goes somewhere, like think about when Trump went to that McDonald's and fucking was like pretending to work. The Secret Service came in like hours before and did a whole sweep, did interviews with the staff, fucking like checked everything out. They know who the fuck they're dealing with. They know, they investigate people. How the fuck they don't, you see? That doesn't make sense. If they're so good at investigating people and knowing the security risk and everything that could happen and thinking 5-10 steps ahead and being super cautious, how does something like this happen? They let it happen.
But this, the Prime Minister of Slovakia accepted the resignation of his national security advisor, Miroslav Lajak, over the weekend after emails came out between him and Epstein talking about women. Then you got this, in one email from 2013, apparently a businessman from the United Arab Emirates, Sultan bin Suleiman, the CEO of DP World, writes that Moldavian is not as attractive as the picture. The Ukrainian is very beautiful. And while we've known his name before, there are more unsettling allegations surrounding Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Yep, came out as part of the release. It was revealed that back in 2013, Epstein allegedly claimed that Gates was looking to get medication to treat an STD because of having sex with Russian girls. Keyword Russian, we'll get back to that. Yeah, apparently Epstein had penned this draft email on behalf of a Gates.
"Hey honey, mind if I get a little Russian pussy?" "Oh, what? What do you mean?" "Oh, yeah, man, just gonna go to Russia real quick, hang out with my homie Epstein. I'm gonna stop in the Caribbean, do some philanthropy, "Oh, okay, just don't give me any STDs. "Oh, no, I wouldn't do anything like that, but fuck.
Advisor who wanted to maybe leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Epstein seemingly wrote in this guy's voice, "In my role as his right hand, I had been asked on multiple occasions and in hindsight wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound and had been repeatedly asked to do other things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, I feel I owe it to my friends and future colleagues to admit a moral failure."
This fool's taking Adderall at bridge tournaments? What the fuck is a bridge tournament? I'm pretty sure it's a card game. Bridge. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty boring fucking card game too. No. This was taking Adderall to play this shit? That looks lame as fuck, bro. What the fuck? What? Hey, hold on, let me pop an Adderall. I'm gonna play some bridge real quick. Like, even like, I would have felt like it would have been different even if it was like chess. So I could see that way better than fucking bridge, bro.
So there was a spokesperson for Bill Gates who rejected the allegations, saying these claims are absolutely absurd and completely false. Here's something interesting. On Tuesday, NPR's Wildcard podcast, they aired a preview of an interview that they did with Melinda Gates. So this is Bill Gates' ex-wife. The two divorced in 2021. And that interview, which airs in full on Thursday, apparently includes Melinda's response to her ex being mentioned so many times in the Epstein Files. Quote, For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because it brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. Whatever questions remain there of what, I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people, and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls? At least for me, I've been able to move on in my life, and I hope there's some justice for those now women. And by the way, Bill Gates did a recent interview, I believe, with Australian media, where he said, I never went to the island, I never met any women. And so the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior. Okay, moving forward. Elon Musk. Okay, 2012, 2013, there are emails that show the two were messaging and trying to arrange for the Tesla founder to visit Epstein's island. So Elon Musk comes up in this new document dump. So for example, there's this exchange. We'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit? And then a response from JEE Vacation responds, I will send heli for you, seemingly helicopter. Actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. When should we head to your island? On the 2nd? Did we need to organize Elon to your island on January 2nd? And by the way, Musk appeared to ask Epstein in one email, what day night will be the wildest party on your island? Now, it doesn't appear that that ever happened, that he visited it. And by the way, Musk has previously tweeted that Epstein was a creep, that he tried repeatedly to get him to his island, that he always declined. And Musk also responded more recently on X that no one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, the private jet. And he was, quote, well aware that the really big bomb at real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Turns out he is. Yeah, so this one's true. Now, to be clear, let's be clear about this. The president is mentioned. One of the reasons that a lot of people suspected this was, was there a delay in getting the files out? There was that memo from the DOJ and FBI that said we looked through everything. There's nobody else that needs to be investigated. There's no client list. There was a whole push to get the files out. There's been arguments that the president has kind of been distracting away from it. So is his name mentioned? Is he mentioned in it? Well, look, he is in it. But I got to be clear about what this is. So one of the documents, this is the big one, one of the documents that came out was this list. It was a list compiled seemingly by the FBI of unverified tips that came in from the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. And apparently this was sent over to the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force. Now again, these were tips that apparently couldn't be corroborated. Some of it's secondhand information. And in fact, this was what the DOJ said on this, quote, this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act. Some of the documents contain untrue and sensationalistic claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they have a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, we do want to warn you, these allegations in these tips are very disturbing, but I'll give you an example. Quote, redacted reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13, 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. And the log states that this tip, again, was sent to the Washington office to conduct an interview.
Dude, that is such a Trump. I could see that's such a Trump thing to do, bro. Remember when he was like, I was grabbing by the pussy. Nah. Bro, oh my God. I don't even want to think about that.
The next tip reads, redacted reported she was a friend, redacted who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 until 1991 or 1992. This friend shared names of the guests at Epstein's parties to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And by the way, the call log indicates that there are 2 voicemails that were left with the complainant. There was never a response. How about this one? Online complainant reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in California between 1995 and 1996. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broke.
Damn, so you go to the golf course, what? Like the ladies go to be the servers, right? Like I forget what they're called, but they give drinks out. And that's what they were scoping them out with? They were finding them at the golf course, and what? Like, dude. The evils of this world have no bounds.
parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, remember him from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and Donald Trump. And then there's this one. The guests were older men and included Elon Musk, Don Jr., Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms, forced to give to Donald Trump, forced to allow. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. So again, mentioned, we don't know if any of that's true. All right.
Oh my God, bro. This is just fucking awful,
Jeffrey
man.
Epstein theory, okay? Arguably the biggest theory. Epstein didn't die from his own hand, but he was murdered, okay? This is a big one. Remember, he was found dead in his federal jail cell on August 10, 2019, as he was awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking of minors charges. Now, there has long been speculation that he was murdered. So let me be clear. The new release, all these files, as far as we could see, doesn't disprove that. Doesn't prove that he was murdered. However, we did find something that is not going to quiet that narrative. According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in this case, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation. Cooperation's key. Defense counsel did not make a specific proposal, and they did not indicate what the nature of Epstein's cooperation might be, if any. But it was suggested that defense counsel contact SDNY if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct and or they had a specific proposal for a resolution of this case. Okay, so maybe he was going to work out a deal and then he dies, right? That looks suspicious. This is a guy who had connections to
maybe
the rich
he
and
did
powerful,
work out a deal.
Actually had a lot of information.
And that was the
He
deal.
just dies, right? However, assuming this is true, there was no way he was going to walk away scot-free. No way. Even if he provided information about others, highly unlikely he was just going to escape, okay, that he was just going to be let free. I can guarantee you he would have seen prison time. So if he believed that his options were limited and he wasn't going to walk, maybe he became desperate. I mean, as we reported on another sidebar, Epstein apparently had a secret girlfriend who he had reportedly planned to leave the bulk of his massive fortune and properties to when he died. Corinna Shuliak spoke to him on the phone for 20 minutes the night before he was found dead. So some will say, yeah, maybe supports the idea that he did this to himself. He's closing out his affairs. He's saying goodbye. Others could say, hey, he knew he was in danger. Maybe he knew he was about to be killed. And I'll also note that The Guardian claims that in these documents, there appear to be a conversation between investigators regarding Epstein's death, with one suggesting that Epstein's last communication didn't look like a note that someone would leave if they were about to harm themselves. This is also per reporting by the Associated Press. And apparently it's been reported that the documents explain that the jail used boxes and sheets to make it look like Epstein's body, and then they loaded it into a white van belonging to the chief medical examiner, that this was a way to trick the media that was gathered all outside the facility after his death, when in actuality, his real body was apparently in a black car and no one really saw it leave. So you have that too, apparently, in the files. Okay, brings me to another big theory. That Epstein was so powerful, he was so connected, that he had such a meteoric rise to fortune in the 80s and the 90s. Was it too convenient? Was he really getting assistance? Was he an asset? Was he a foreign agent? Was he a Russian spy, for example? Now, this one's a little tricky, okay? While there's nothing on the face of it to directly prove that, his connections to Moscow and his massive interest in Vladimir Putin, it is on full display in this recent release, because Putin is named almost 1,000 times in the latest document release, and there are almost 10,000 references to Moscow. There are communications regarding Epstein inquiring about a Russian visa, how he wanted to reinvent the Russian financial system. There was an exchange where Epstein helped Russia's former UN ambassador understand Donald Trump, or how Epstein in another email said that Russia's foreign minister could, quote, get insight on talking to me. There was a lot of back and forth about Epstein meeting Putin or attempts to meet him. You had one email from September 11, 2011, where someone writes about Epstein meeting with Putin when he goes to Russia, and it says, quote, spoke with Igor. He said last time you were in Palm Beach, you told him you had an appointment with Putin on September 16th, and that he could go ahead and book his ticket to Russia to arrive a few days before you. In an email to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Epstein writes, Putin asked that I meet him in St. Petersburg at the same time as his economic conference. I told him no. If he wants to meet, he will need to set aside real time and privacy. Let's see what happens. There's a 2014 email from a Japanese entrepreneur that says, hey, Jeffrey, I wasn't able to convince LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman to change his schedule to go to meet Putin with you. Now, the New York Post reported that U.S. security officials claim Epstein had ties with Russian organized crime. So the question becomes, was he providing information to Russian officials? Was he creating a blackmail honey trap system to benefit Russia, try to compromise people? Obviously, we don't know for sure, but he did apparently have this obsession in a way with Putin and Russia. And this is only fueled, by the way, by Epstein's connection to Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father, Robert Maxwell, allegedly was a Soviet asset in the 70s and reportedly laundered money from Russia to the West with Epstein's help. There's an email where Epstein writes, Robert Maxwell threatened Mossad. He told them that unless they gave him 400 million pounds to save his crumbling empire, he would expose all he had done for them. And by the way, to put a note on this, the New York Post is reporting that Polish authorities are now looking into whether or not Jeffrey Epstein had a real link, a real connection to Russian intelligence. You had Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who said during a government meeting this week, quote, more and more leads, more and more information, and more commentary in the global press all relate to the suspicion that this unprecedented pedophilia scandal was co-organized by Russian intelligence services. I don't need to tell you how serious the increasingly likely possibility that Russian intelligence services co-organized this operation is for the security of the Polish state. This can only mean that they also possess compromising materials against many leaders still active today. And so the Polish leader indicated that they're going to put a team together to look into this. And of course, this is all fueled and motivated by Epstein's connections that he had, which brings me to another big thought. The question that came up, would former Prince Andrew, right? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, okay, formerly Prince Andrew, before he was stripped of his titles, could he be further exposed? A known former associate, friend of Epstein, even though he's never been criminally charged, even though he was, again, stripped of his royal titles. Well, I'll tell you what, there definitely was a lot of him in there. Like how Andrew allegedly invited Epstein to Buckingham Palace after Epstein's release from house arrest on Florida solicitation of prostitution charges, including with a minor. This is back in 2010. You had this email where Epstein said he wanted to set Andrew up with a 26-year-old, yes, Russian woman, who he describes as clever and beautiful. In one exchange, Epstein said he was in London, asked for private time with the then Duke of York. Andrew replied, we could have dinner at Buckingham Palace and lots of privacy. 2 days later, he followed up by saying, delighted for you to come here to BP, Buckingham Palace. Come with whomever, and I'll be free from 1600-ish.
All right, I guess it's, well, we know this, dude. The fucking, these elites are fucking corrupt. They're fucked up. What are you gonna do, bro? I don't know. We gotta lock them up. We gotta do something. But that's it. Fucking Jeffrey Epstein. Actually, hold on. Let's go look at. Go to like the ending of it. Is that it? Yeah, okay. No, it's not. What I'm looking for. Why is everybody always naked, bro? Look at that fool looks old. Look at how wrinkly that ass is. Again, always naked. Yeah, these are horrible people doing horrible things. I mean, you guys should come here. Look, U.S. Department of Justice. Make sure you check it out. Anyways, I'm so done with all this shit. Oh shit, what do I do? Alright, peace out everybody.